watching Kenosha Community Television.
Well, hey, Jason, for me,
Either he wants to say something or eat something, one of the two.
Take the opportunity to put up musical interest.
Acting, dancing, and now singing a Grammy winner.
Back to those movies, and particularly Night Shift and Gung Ho.
Really? Never knew that. Okay, here we are in Milwaukee at the beautiful restored Avalon Theatre, and I'm with your name?
John Brannon, Director of Operations here for Neighborhood Theater Group.
John, I tell you, this is the way to go, is when I walked in here at the Avalon Theatre. Maybe for those who don't know a little history on the Avalon Theatre, what can you tell us about it?
Well, you have that right. This is a great place to see a movie now in Milwaukee. The Avalon first opened in 1929. It's currently Milwaukee's only atmospheric movie theater. Now, one time Milwaukee had 5 of these theaters, and they're named such because there was a very specific atmosphere the original design architect was trying to emulate, and ours is based off a villa in Granada, Spain. So when you're in the auditorium watching a movie at the Avalon, you're to feel like you're in an outdoor villa under the stars in Granada, Spain.
Now, when you first walk in, and I love the marquee, it's a digital marquee that you can see. It gives a little history, a little historic photographs in there as well?
Yes, correct. So yeah, we were very careful in the whole restoration of the Avalon to make it historically accurate. And you're right about the marquee in particular, looks very much like the original 1929 marquee with the vertical Avalon lettering and so forth. And so we were very careful to keep the historic aspects of the place intact.
And there's an old popcorn machine that used to be in our...
Absolutely. We're very connected to the community. The name of the company is Neighborhood Theater Group, and we're very invested in our communities. We were sponsor, as an example, we were sponsor of Film on the Hill in Bayview this year, and we took the popcorn bike to the hill while the kids watched the movie and the families watched the movie, and we provided popcorn there for them. So we try to extend our reach in the community beyond just the structure here at the Avalon.
So, and then when we walk in here, this is the lobby area that we're in?
Yes, correct. Yeah, this is the original lobby. Again, looking very much like it did in all the decades from in the 30s and 40s and so forth.
And then obviously the concession stand behind us.
Yeah, we wanted to have a very traditional concession stand. So the food and beverage operation is very important to the Avalon, but we wanted to also provide the typical great popcorn, snacks. You can get out of the concession stand here, yes.
Let's move on. Okay, John, before we go into the main theater, though, we were talking about concession stands. This has a nice lounge area here. Let's hear how this all came about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is the Avalon Lounge. And so we wanted to provide a space where people could spend some time either before and or after their movie. Going to a movie with friends is a social experience, but not so much so in that you can't be talking during the movie. So we wanted to provide a space to make it more interactive and make it a little bit longer social experience than some of the other theaters in Milwaukee. So we carved out a really beautiful space, the Avalon Lounge, where you can get a cocktail or beer or wine before or after your movie or talk about the movie afterwards.
And that's the whole point, because maybe the whole movie experience you want to talk about after or beforehand. This was a great opportunity to do so.
Yeah, absolutely, and it works really well. And more of our customers are finding that. And with the Milwaukee Film Festival in particular, a lot of people will come here and talk about the film after.
And this is always open during the regular business hour?
Yes, correct.
All right, very nice. And again, gives that feel of the 1920s as well. Let's move on. Okay, here we are in the main attraction, the main theater, and it is, like I said before, just done right. The one thing that I love about coming into this one is that when they restore theaters, the first thing they do for economic reason, they'll split the screen in half, and you walk in and it's like you shrug your shoulders. But this was done. Was that sort of the original concept, saying we need this intact?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely wanted to keep the historic aspect of this beautiful theater intact and make it very comfortable for the people in attendance. And so that means giving them a little more legroom, giving a little more space, making it easy to order food and beverage, and yeah, we designed it for comfort.
Yeah. It's like, and you got some surround speakers I see as well, so it's the best of both worlds.
Oh, absolutely. It's all digital projection in our industry now, and so it's just wonderful sound in this building. The coved roof here, or the ceiling rather, was designed for acoustics. Obviously, the theater was built before the days of amplification and microphones and so forth, and so that ceiling was the microphone, so to speak. And so the opera singers and the musical presentations, always it was designed for that kind of thing to sound great in here, and it still does.
Absolutely. And again, the highlight is also the sky as well. They actually kind of mimic the constellations. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's Milwaukee's only atmospheric theater because you're under the stars here at the Avalon, as you always were. And so the stars that are in the ceiling currently are 1,200 fiber optic stars that are in place exactly as they look in Granada, Spain in July, which is what you're to feel like when you're in the Avalon, is to feel like you're in an outdoor villa on the Mediterranean in Granada, Spain.
Especially the lanterns throughout it just really adds it. Did you guys have to contact some, a historic type of figure to look at that?
Well, we did the best we could on our own with old photographs and so forth, and so a lot of the fixtures in the building are original to the building as much as possible. And where we just didn't have them, we got light fixtures from Morocco, for instance, in order to mimic the detail of the architecture as much as possible.
And the seats, I've sat in the seats and they are comfortable. Again, some movies are more than an hour and a half, maybe close to 3 hours, but it's like you really have that comfort in here.
Yes, exactly. We have big leather rocking seats with a big convenient fold-out tray to make eating in a dark theater as easy as possible, and for servers to get to the seats very easily as well.
And when did this open up?
We opened in December last year, so the Avalon closed in the year 2000, so it was closed fully 15 years before we got it open again last December.
And it was just your group that got involved to restore it?
Yes, Lee Barzak is the owner, and he bought the place in 2005, and put his plans together for the architecture and the restoration.
Okay, John, thank you so much for letting us tour here because, again, it's not, to me, a museum/operating movie theater, neighborhood movie theater that you can't see anywhere else. So let's talk about where you're located.
We're located on Kinnickinnick Avenue in Bayview.
Is there like a website or phone number as well?
Yeah, avalonmke.com is the website, and on the website you can get information on all our upcoming movies.
Well, right now it's going on as the Milwaukee Film Festival as well, which is great that you're involved in this event. Is there any other upcoming events that we should look forward to at this time?
No, I'm glad you mentioned the Film Festival. We are just very happy to be a part of the Film Festival last year. We were at our Times Theater as well last year, and just a great relationship with them, and it's clearly one of the best film festivals in the country, and we're glad to be part of it. After the Film Festival, we've got great movies coming up. Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg are in a picture called Bridge of Spies we're expecting to get here at the Avalon. There's a new James Bond movie in November, and Star Wars for Christmas. Right. It's going to be great.
Sounds good. Well, once again, the address here at Avalon?
It's 2473 South Kinnickinnick Avenue in Bayview.
Okay.
Thank you.
So come on down to the Avalon Theatre in Milwaukee, and thank you, in Bayview, and thank you so much, John, for talking with us today.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome back. And in the studio tonight, we have our good friend and professional documentary filmmaker, Mr. Mark Gumbinger.
Thanks for having me back, Jason.
Thanks, Mark. Once again, and when we had you on last time, you had I think the Edmund Fitzgerald documentary.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that. I think that might have been the 35-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be the 40-year anniversary already on November 10th, 1975. Hard to believe, the song by Gordon Lightfoot that's 39 years. That came out 39 years ago, and that was a top 40 hit. I think it made it up to like number 9 on the pop charts.
So where did you get started into documentary filmmaking?
I was actually living in Scottsdale, Arizona in the late 80s, and I went to the Scottsdale Library and I found this book called Shipwrecks of the Great Lakes by Dwight Boyer. And it had this really fascinating article on the SS Wisconsin, which sank right off her shores, sort of almost even with the Keno Drive In, ironically, in about 120 feet of water in an upright position. So I did this research on it, and I'm like, here, and I'm living in the middle of the desert, and I thought, boy, this would really be neat to do a documentary on it. And being from Kenosha, I thought, so I came back in summer of 1990 and filmed a bunch of footage and met a diver. I'm not an advanced deep water diver, but I met this guy that dived the wreck like, I think thousands of times, literally. And we had this really cool footage, and I made my first documentary on that. And now we've done that from the Andrea Doria to the Edmund Fitzgerald to the Titanic, and now here we are today going to talk about the Keno Drive In.
And let's get started, because the Keno Drive In, which happened basically over the course of the year, and you were pretty much there documenting it, the closing of the drive-in, if people don't know about the Keno Drive. In fact, maybe you could start off giving a little history about the Keno Drive.
Yeah, it was built in 1949.
Okay.
It was the first drive-in really in the Kenosha metro area. Wasn't the first one built in Wisconsin, but it was built in 1949. And it ran every year until this spring was the first year it's ever been dark, Jason. And I was very compelled by it. Back in 1979, when I was right out of high school, I actually was there. I was for a brief stint as a union projectionist, and I was in the projection, and they had the old carbon 20-minute reels where you change from one projector to another with the old carbon that you'd have to change. Wow. And I was there repairing the old tin boxes that they had with the wire, because everybody would leave and rip them off the, and then of course it converted to FM radio broadcast years later. But so it always hit home. I remember going there as a kid in the 1960s. They had the 12-inch gauge train that would go around the screen, and I'd go there with my parents in the old Rambler. We would get the Piggly Wiggly paper bags, pop them full of popcorn, and it was always a slice of Americana to me, Jason. And so when all this started happening, I just felt compelled just to give. I'm not making any money on this. This was just strictly a labor of love. I just thought I'd give one back to the community here. And I went there to the one rally in April, and in fact I ran into you. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but you're going to be in. I think I have one or two quotes of you. You're going to be in the new documentary that's coming out. We're having a premiere Wednesday night, October 21st, at the Bratstops Parkway Chateau. Admission is free, but we are accepting non-perishable food items to be split equally for the Shalom Center and the Salvation Army.
Great. And those who haven't ever been to one of his screenings out there, they're jam-packed. I mean, which is good. It shows that the community supports local filmmakers, and he does a great job. And this one is going to be huge, just because I was there at the town hall meeting, and the emotions just ran high. There's well attended. Again, it's just one of those things that people wanted to save and hear the opposite side with that. Why do you think drive-ins have closed over the years?
It's a shame. I think the main reason is the property. They were originally built in the 40s and the 50s. There used to be, in 1957, Jason, there was over 5,000 drive-ins. And I think we're down to around 300. And I think two of the main things is the property around the cities. They were originally built in the county, and then the city grew into the county, and the property became worth a lot of money. And now you have the final thing is with this digital conversion, it's going to cost about $100,000. So if you have something, especially here in the Midwest, it's only open 3 to 5 months out of the year, and now it's going to cost $100,000 to retrofit it because of Hollywood switched. They've done away with the 35 millimeter film, and it's all digital. So that's a big cost. So I think if we put those two things together, but another thing what's happened is there's a whole revival of drive-ins, especially probably more south than there is up here because of the limited season. But like they're flourishing, like down in Texas and Atlanta and Florida. There people are building new ones. But this one, I think the time came. It's an interesting thing because we try to show it objectively. We were lucky enough to interview the owner. We interviewed the former manager. a lot of other people that came out to the rally, like yourself. We interview people like yourself talking about their experiences. So you sort of have like the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. You have the nostalgia, and then there's the few, or in the owner's case, the business side, where he bought it strictly as an investment. He didn't buy it to run it as a theater. He bought it 19 years ago, and his time has come, and he had a chance to possibly put a big box superstore in there, but that was voted down. He can still put a strip mall in, but he can't put a big box store in.
Since you do both forms, the documentary and the feature films, after this one, are you going to do another documentary or a feature film toying around?
You know, it's been a while. The last one I did was the Titanic, and that was for the 100-year anniversary 3 years ago, and I took a little bit of a break, and I was doing some other things business-wise, non-film, but I've been making films since I was 16 years old, so it's in my blood, and I just felt very compelled. This was such a great story that I wanted to do it and share it. We have like a lot of time invested in this one. I got probably about over 300 hours invested in this one. It's an hour long. But to answer your question, I've given some thought of possibly future things. Another thing that's been on my mind that's sort of been bothering me lately is the Southport Beach House, because 4.5 years ago there was all that rally on it, and the only thing they've done is they sort of, I thought, ruined the parking lot, and they haven't touched anything on the structure itself, and they're talking about the roof, and then they canceled the roof. They don't even have a flagpole on it in the summer, which is disappointing. So that could be a possible future documentary if I did something locally again. But right now we're working on this premiere, which is like planning a wedding. It's worse than planning a wedding, but it's fun and it's good. And I think if you come, I think you're gonna enjoy the program. We put a lot into it, and we're very proud of it.
I can't wait. Please go out to this, and it's going to be a great time. Plus, you see a lot of local people, and it's definitely after the documentary, there's just time to talk and share a thing and talk to the filmmaker. Again, let's plug it one last time.
It's Wednesday night, October 21st at the Bratstops Parkway Chateau. Doors open around 7 o'clock. You can come in and have a drink or a pop beforehand. And then the movie's going to start around 8 o'clock. It's a 1-hour program. Again, admission is free, and we do accept non-perishable food items for the Shalom Center and the Salvation Army. And come on out. You'll have a guaranteed good time, and we'll even double your money back if you don't like it. Okay. As Bob Bell would say, just remember the price you paid for the ticket.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Oh, thank you. Let's give a big round of applause for Mark Gumbinger, filmmaker here tonight.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
As a parent, I know one of the most important times to be with your children is when they aren't feeling well. For many families, there's a place they can go to find the support they need.
Ronald McDonald House Charities programs provide that supportive environment so families can be together while their children are dealing with serious illnesses.
You can volunteer your time at a local Ronald McDonald House or drop your change in an RMHC canister.
Today is a great day for all of us to show our support.
To find out how you can get involved in your community, visit rmhc.org.
We are here in Racine, Wisconsin. A good friend of mine to stop by Fred Hermes' house to see what he has to offer here for the Just Talkin' show. So let's follow me. Actually, I think we're going to go on it. So why don't you follow me, see if Fred, I see Fred in there. All right. And this is my good friend, Fred Hermes. Fred, thank you so much for being on Channel 14, Just Talking. I heard you got a lovely home here today. Very nice living room here. I hear there's something really neat in the basement. Maybe we can go down there and check it out. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know every house has usually a basement, and it's got in case for whatever reason a tornado or something. You got some nice pictures here on the wall too, and just a nice house you got here, Fred. I appreciate you letting us come down here. And so now we're in this room. It looks like he has some old film reels, film projections. Back here, as you can see, there's some great old Super 8 films, some Walt Disney home videos. So you probably show some old movies down here, and it's got a nice light fixture. So Fred, I appreciate you bringing some nostalgia back here by showing some old, these are Super 8 films, right?
90% of them are 95% are 16 millimeters.
16 millimeter films. Well, I'm sure you probably got a nice projection screen here. So let's go on further in your basement to see what you have. Okay, so now we're still in Fred Hermes' home. We just saw the 8 millimeter and 16 millimeter films, and Fred went even down further into his basement. So we'll go ahead and follow him. So come on with us. And as I'm going down the steps here, you can see some great nostalgia, some Laurel and Hardy pictures as well. So now we're coming down here. So Fred, just really nice basement you have here, and this is really nice. You're a fan of the opera, so you're a fan of that movie?
That's him, the original film, 1925 version.
1925 version. People always associate the Phantom with the organ, which is really neat here.
Yeah,
so, but just a beautiful lobby area. So let's go on. I think there's a main room here in the Fred's basement, and as we come in here, all right, as we're walking into the main room, Fred, it looks like you have a 1920s organ / theater. Is that correct?
1926 organ. From the 1920s. They're all from the 1920s.
So Rick, if you could pan over this. So what we're seeing now is that, Fred, it looks like you've constructed a underground old-time 1926 theater.
Right.
This is fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so we are in the basement home of Fred Hermes. And Fred, I'm just still in awe of this. It's surreal. Let's get a little history of this. When did this all start?
Oh, about 1959, I started building this basement.
Okay.
And the basement is 20 feet deep, and it was 4 bare walls.
So in 1959, did you know that you were set out to build a old-time theater downstairs?
I set out to build a room that would hold this organ and be large enough so it would sound good acoustically. I did not intend to build a theater at the time.
Okay.
Because none of this stuff was available at the time.
And then when was the basement area completed?
Oh, about 10 years ago.
Really?
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit, okay. Now I'm looking across the room, and what you said there are pieces from other theaters in here?
Yes.
Which theaters?
Well, there are the lights underneath the balcony, and the lights on the side are from the Lake Theater down in Kenosha. The chandeliers were made from the wall bracket. You see that fixture on the way down on the stairway? Mm-hmm. That's 2 of those put back to back, and they are also from the Lake Theater. And the crystals hanging on there are from the theater down in Chicago that was torn down. The Piccadilly Theater in Chicago that was torn down.
Did you seek a consultant out to build this?
No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Are you a craftsman by trade?
No, I'm in the real estate and insurance business.
Then how many seats do we have here in the theater?
Roughly speaking, 150.
Okay.
Including the balcony.
And have you had groups here, or?
I've had tour groups coming from here from over 40 years.
Wow. Now, I know you have the love of the organ here. Let's tell us about that.
The organ came from the Michigan Theater in Detroit. And I bought this in 1955 and moved it here in 1956.
Wow.
And this is the console, what you see, what you play at, that's called the console. That's the smallest part of the organ, although it weighs about 2,500 pounds. The whole organ weighs, roughly speaking, 25 tons. And we moved it here. It took 2 big moving van semi-trailers to get it here from Detroit. And the basement is built in the shape, or the whole house is in the shape of a T, like Tom. And at that one column there, the wall goes back about 20 feet, then it goes 30 feet that way again, then about 75 feet this way, and the other side the same way, and then there's an organ chamber in that section, and one in that section, and 2 more behind me, behind the grill here. And then there's also a relay room in the corner, which it's a 2-story high relay room full of relays, which is looks like a small telephone exchange, and that's where all the connections are made between the console and the pipes. Okay. And then there's a 20 horsepower blower in the other corner that produces the air for the organ.
Let's talk about the projector, so you can show movies here as well.
That's right.
So, and that's what we saw, those 16 millimeter films, 8 millimeter films. So you have the projection room up above, and it shines on a screen down.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, what's one of your favorite movies?
Well, everybody likes to see The Phantom of the Opera. It was Lon Chaney from 1925.
When you show silent films like The Phantom of the Opera, is there certain pieces that go along with the movie, or do you just play with it?
You improvise it. Because you have to, when the mask comes off, you got to play a tremendous chord, and I really had the people really scream about that. And when that was shown in Chicago in 1925, they actually had nurses in the aisle because people would pass out from that scene where the mask is ripped off his face.
Right. As well, and then you have sort of many lights throughout the theater as well.
Yes, sir. A lot of lights.
Okay.
A lot of electric bill, too.
A lot of electric bill, too. Exactly. Well, since you're in real estate, if you find another house like this, let me know, because I'll want to buy.
You have to dig a hole to make it.
Make it happen, exactly. And as far as if someone would want to come tour this, is there like a school or tour group that they should contact?
Yes, the Racine County Convention Bureau. Okay. Eileen Arnold is the person. She handles this, and I have tours coming here from all over the country. Wow. They come in buses, tour buses.
Well, I don't think there's another place like this ever. Has anybody else accomplished something like this?
Not exactly like this, no. Other ones have big organs in a great big room, but nothing that looks like a theater.
Right. Well, once again, Fred, this is just an absolutely tremendous theater that you have in your basement. Great organ as well.
We call it the Bijou, Basement Bijou.
At the Basement Bijou here in Racine. And once again, if you want to learn more or come down and see this great Basement Bijou, is contact the Racine Convention Bureau, correct?
Racine County Convention Bureau.
County Convention. Well, we'll close with Fred playing a little organ music and maybe a little bit from Fan of the Opera. And we want to thank you for tuning in. We'll be here next week, 8:30 to 9 o'clock. And Fred, take it away.